Today's video is sponsored by the Army Painter. In this one, I show you how to quickly paint up skeletons for miniature wargaming. These instructions work for Warhammer, Oathmark, Kings of War, and any other skeletons you may have too. The skeletons I'm using for this tutorial are actually by Wargames Atlantic. Why did I choose Wargames Atlantic? Well, number one, I had them in stock. Number two, they're easy to paint. Probably the easiest skeletons I've ever seen to paint. And number three, I've already reviewed these miniatures, so painting them is a nice conclusion to that. My videos have come a long way since that review, so be sure to watch that to see how my skills have improved. Now let's get right into it. I started by priming the miniatures with matte white primer from the Army Painter. I then selected out my colors for the rest of the project. With my paint and figures out, I moved to the first color. That color was matte white from a dropper bottle. This has a 100% match with the spray primer that I used to begin the project. That is the benefits of going with the Army Painter. They have color matching technology across their primers and their paints. While I didn't need to use brush on primer for this project, you might depending where you live and the time of the year. If you want a tutorial on how to use the Army Painter brush on primer, I have that here. Here I'm brushing on the white paint. I'm just adding more pigment to where I wish I sprayed it a little heavier. I'm not too careful, I'm just spreading that paint in there. The point of today's tutorial is to paint quickly. I then painted the shields with weapon bronze. To shake it up, I use a vortex mixer. Mine is still going well even after a year of owning it. I then shake up the dragon red paint and apply that to the shields. I find the first time that you use the Army Painter paint, you need to squeeze some out of the bottle before there is enough space for it to shake up well. Otherwise, the color that you get out is very light. It's not what you want. With my color mixed up properly, I brush it onto the model. If you miss the mark with the brush, don't worry, you can go back and clean it up later. I am working to get these done quickly. If you want to shake it up even better, you can put in an Army Painter steel ball. I have heard that these might be in the new dropper bottles, so I'm not sure if you need them if you buy the new bottles of paint. If they're not in there, these balls are worth it. The Army Painter paints can be difficult to shake up, but they are working on it. Next up, I bring out my secret weapon. This is what makes the project look okay to fantastic in no time at all. So this is the Army Painter Shade. I'm going to use strong tones specifically for these models. This is where the magic happens. As they are now, these miniatures are serviceable, but they're not even close to amazing. I then slop on the shade, and all of a sudden, they look much better. I look like an amazing painter, and I haven't done anything. I followed technique. The shade goes heavy into all of the recesses and light on the top of the model. This makes it look like I expertly painted the miniature when I really just applied a base coat and then slopped on a bunch of Army Painter shade. Now if you get a little too much on there, you can take some of the Army Painter shade away with a brush, it just wicks up. For today's project though, I'm just applying it on there. It's like talent in a bottle. I let the minis dry and then these skeletons are good enough for the tabletop. The next step is to apply white glue and add my basing materials. I apply the glue all over the base and carefully try not to get it on the side. I just want it on the top surface. If it hits the side, that is okay, I can brush it away later. I have some Army Painter flock and some black basing materials too. I apply both to the surface to get the look that I want. I like applying the same basing materials to either full squads or to full armies. If you do full squads, like I've done in bolt action, you can differentiate between them by the materials on the base. That can be handy when the models are all armed with the same weapons. When I was done, the miniatures looked fantastic with minimal effort. Check out these minis. It didn't take much work and the results are really nice. I painted a full army of 32 miniatures in a single night. Overall, I was really happy with the end results of this project. The sculpts by Wargames Atlantic are incredibly easy to paint. Basically, they're just skeletons. There's no armor or difficult detail to worry about on these figures. I'm going to showcase images of the final models while I discuss the painting method that I used for the skeleton warriors. If you're painting miniatures by another company, like Games Workshop for Age of Sigmar, Manta Games for Kings of War, or North Star military figures for Oathmark, you can still paint those skeletons in this quick and very easy way. Just add a few more colors for any clothing or armor that you encounter. When you're done with the base coat of the original colors, just slap on that Army Painter shade and you're good to go. It may take some practice to find out the right amount of Quickshade to use for your style, but you'll get better and faster as you paint more minis. If you want to get fancy, you can go back and dry brush your original colors to create even more depth on your models. I have tutorials on that I will link to in the description below. For me, a base coat on the minis followed by one round of the Army Painter Quickshade made the miniature look perfect for the tabletop. Quick and easy. While this painting method works great for skeletons, I use this method for nearly all of the miniatures I paint. Step 1. Prime. Step 2. Base coat. Step 3. Apply Quickshade. Step 4. Dry brush highlighting with the original colors if desired. Step 5. Add basing material. If you want, you can protect your paint job with spray or brush on varnish. The Army Painter sells that too. When I remember, I always like to protect my miniatures by adding varnish to my finished paint jobs. If you like this video and want to support the channel, there's going to be affiliate links in the description below. If you use those links, Must Contain Minis does get a small percentage of the purchase price as a commission. On top of that, there will be links for you to check out my website and some related articles. Special thanks goes out to the Army Painter for sponsoring this video, and also to Wargames Atlantic for sending me a box of their skeletons for a review. Until next time, happy gaming everyone!